And welcome to the Big Blue Breakdown. I am Michael Buckhosh and joined today with Matthew Lyle, back from the dead. Matthew, how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good, living the Big Blue dream, so I can't complain.
And we're joined with always as Chris Hill. Chris, how are you doing today, man?
I'm doing good, man. It's a little cold, but getting used to it.
It's supposed to be like 55 degrees tomorrow, man. What are you talking about being cold?
Dude, it's 40-something right now, and it's cold. I wasn't ready for winter, man. It crept up out of nowhere. I was not ready for
it. I guess the month being almost December doesn't count as creeping up on us?
No, it doesn't count. I wasn't ready for it.
Well, and speaking of almost being December, the month of the greatest holiday in the world besides Halloween, Christmas. But first, we got Thanksgiving, so I'd like to wish you guys a very early, happy Thanksgiving tomorrow. So make sure you guys enjoy some football, that kind of thing.
Certainly. Oh yeah, definitely.
There's basketball happening. There's hockey happening. Before we get too carried away, I like to give a congratulations to the Kentucky men's soccer team. They did win the Conference USA league. Was last week, maybe two weeks ago, and they're in the tournament now. Which, if I'm not mistaken, it started this week. Does that sound right, Matt? That started this week?
It does. Yeah, they actually the other night they beat, I want to say, Portland, and then they may have actually played their second game. I believe that second game is Saturday, same day as the Louisville game, if I'm not mistaken. And it just goes to show that, I've said this before on the show, prior to this year, everybody wants to say, oh, Kentucky's just a basketball school. And no, it's not. The schools that we have varsity squads in, we've struggled in football being in a very powerful conference. But the other sports that we are varsity in, we are always contenders, and absolute shout-out to the soccer team.
Yeah, and this just shows you how important soccer is. I guess in the world of sports in general. I did a ESPN search of Kentucky men's soccer, and it literally brought up basketball. It's
so good. So the Google machine knows something that we don't.
Yeah, I'm not for sure, but
And not to go down a big rabbit hole, but since we're on soccer, and since this is one of the few times that we may actually step up from the basketball and football table, this is why I'm for athletes profiting off themselves, but this is why I don't think the NCAA paying is the solidified answer, because you can't afford to pay those kids in the soccer uniform that I guarantee you none of us could name, even with Google's help. You couldn't pay them anywhere near enough what you would pay the likes of a Keldon Johnson, E.J. Montgomery, a P.J. Washington, or even a Benny Snell and a Josh Allen on the football team. So even though we've been in this, we've had this discussion hundreds of times, I'm all for players being able to make profit and make money out of their skills. The university and the NCAA couldn't do it because either you pay enough to make the basketball team happy, and the soccer team could never afford that, or you pay what you could afford the soccer team, and it's not going to make a difference in basketball.
Yeah, and you are 100% right on that, Matthew. The more we talk about this, on every show, the more I agree with, letting those players profit off their name, their likeness, etc. It kind of makes sense at the end of the day. I was in a discussion with one of my, Facebook acquaintances, and they were asking why the men's soccer team was in Conference USA, and the reasoning behind this is because SEC does not have 4 or more schools that do men's soccer, so the soccer team goes to a different conference where they do have soccer, so that's why they're the Conference USA division champions and not the SEC. I believe the only other SEC school that has men's soccer was South Carolina. So, just so those people understand what's why it is what it is.
Well, and that's a good bit of information there, Mike, and it kind of furthers people's entry-level knowledge on sports, because when you think Conference USA in basketball and baseball and football, you think blah. You know what I'm saying? You know, they don't impress you. But in soccer, I don't know how good they are. So when people see that Kentucky participates in Conference USA, they're automatically thinking that's a dig. That's a negative. That's just the same thing if our football team went there. And I'm glad you bring that up, Mike, and to let fans know that soccer is a different sport. You know, a funny side note, it was cracking me up. Did anybody, I assume we all watched the Kentucky-North Dakota game?
Yep.
Yep.
They were talking about North Dakota being the Kentucky of hockey. That if we played North Dakota in Division I hockey, the score, they would probably beat us by just as many. So it's one of those things where just because a school or a conference doesn't sound powerful doesn't mean they're not dominant and respected in their own prospective sport.
Well, and just to add to that, you know, mean like if you think about it, every conference that isn't known for basketball or football, they are known for some other sport, such as hockey, such as soccer. Take for example, you always see Harvard and Yale in the field hockey championship, like you know. So I mean, just so like you never want to bash a conference for being bad at basketball or bad at football, because that same as that conference is probably just as good at field hockey or volleyball or gymnastics, you know. So every conference has their niche. So
exactly, if the SEC played the Ivy League in lacrosse, we would get run off the field. If the ACC played or the Big Ten played the WAC, the Western Athletic Conference in baseball, with some of those Cal Fullerton teams, it might be a blowout. So, great point, Mike.
Well, I mean, and like we basically just want to give this soccer team a shout out. You know, like I know they get overshadowed by basketball and football a lot this year, if not always. So, big shout out to them. I did pull it up. They are in the Sweet 16 for the soccer. They do play Saturday at 1 p.m. So good luck to them on Saturday. But let's talk about Saturday, guys. We have the Bluegrass rivalry. I'm not for sure exactly what the rivalry called, but we have Kentucky Wildcats versus Louisville. A big game for Kentucky, just simply for a momentum factor going into their off-season, like their post-season game, and this is a big game for Louisville as well to get that momentum to bring in new recruits. Like, hey, look, we are still the best team in the state, so on and so forth. So I'm going to give the floor to Chris Hill here. Chris, what do you anticipate happening Saturday in Louisville?
Man, this game's not even going to be close. It's not. It's for the Governor's Cup, and man, Louisville's they've got too much stuff going on. The whole head coaching thing, they're not going to really be in it. I don't see them being in it. That even if they win this game, it's not going to make them bowl eligible. They're not. I mean, yeah, it could be a momentum shift, but it's not going to. Man, it's not going to help. This needs to be a warm-up game for Kentucky to get ready for whatever bowl game that they're going to get chosen for. So Kentucky's going to blow them out. It's not even going to be close. 21 points or more. I mean, Louisville's had 70 hung up on them by how many times this year? 50 hung up on them. How many times this year? They can't stop the run.
I can count off the top of my head. Yeah, two or three.
I mean, they can't stop the run, and I mean, it's not even going to be close. Even if Terry has a bad game, like he has the past few games, I mean, 150 yards through the air. I mean, those are. Yeah, I'll take it, but man, that's not. He needs to play a little better. I think he does, and I think this will be the game. I mean, it's got to be. It's a warm-up game for them for their ball game. It's not even going to be close. Too many things going on for Louisville. They're bad in the situation. It's not. It's not going to be close.
And
It's a home game for Louisville.
Just to add what you said, Louisville has given up 52 or more points in the last 4 games. So
yeah, exactly. That defense is not good. It's not good at all. They've had quarterback concerns all year. I mean, what is that guy's name? His last name's something like Pass or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Puma Pass.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
This game is called the Governor Cup that Chris brought up, but I'm actually going to rename it this year to the Bummed Out Bowl. And I'm going to go that sense, and not in anything about the teams, but each fan base has a reason, and is correct, it is rightfully so in their own right, to be concerned. Who's reading a book? Is someone out here reading Harry Potter? I feel like I hear pages being turned constantly in my ears.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Whoever's doing something, making ruckus over there.
It's Louisville looking for a head coach, man.
It must be. So it's the Bummed Out Bowl because the fan bases are all discouraged. If you're Kentucky's fan base, you for some reason had this mindset that you wanted Bama, that we were going to go to the SEC championship and we were going to make some noise. If you're Louisville, you're just discouraged and disgusted with the entire season. So here we are. Now, Kentucky has played really 2 types of games this year. They've either come out acting like they were asleep and either attempted to come back or were able to come back for a win, or they've come out like a cannon and then kind of cooled off in the second half. I'm looking at you, South Carolina and Middle Tennessee State. So if Kentucky comes out and can start the same way that they started against Middle Tennessee State, get a turnover, get a defensive touchdown, get a big run by Benny Snell, I am right there with you, Chris. I do believe this is a blowout. I believe that that Louisville is so broken that if we get up 14, 17, 20 to nothing, we can put up as many points as we want, 50, 55, 60, and so on. They do struggle to stop the run. Georgia Tech was 1 for 2 passing and put up 66 points on them. Now, I will say, if we come out and we act silly and we let them get up, if at the end of the first quarter they're up 7-3, we're in for a tough battle. And I know a lot of people say there's no way that can happen. Do not count out rivalry games.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
It was not long ago that Louisville had Teddy Bridgewater, ended up going to the Orange Bowl. Kentucky went 2-10, and they only won 24-17 at home. So don't count the fact that it's a rivalry out of. Don't put too much hype on this Kentucky train. Look, I think they could put up 50, but they could also struggle. They could also not be as aggressive as they usually are. Benny Snell gets emotional. Josh Allen, or not really Josh Allen so much, Jordan Jones gets emotional. They get thrown out the game. Then you got a whole different ballgame. One thing that Kentucky and Mark Stoops and the group has really struggled with, they are starting Puma Pass, who is more of a passer, no pun intended to his name. He's more of a passer than a runner. Now, I'm okay with that because I don't think he's as nice as some of these quarterbacks that have given Kentucky problems. But the thing that concerns me is that he comes out there, he struggles, then they switch to the Malik kid, who's much more of a scrambler and more not able to adjust. We have struggled with speedy running backs and speedy players getting to the outside. Louisville does have athletes. They are a hot mess, and they gave up under Bobby Petrino. If Kentucky can come in and make them give up in the first half, I like our chances, and I like them a lot. If they come in, they want to play around, it goes into halftime, 7-7, 10-7, anywhere where when it comes out in the second half where Louisville and their fans think they stand a chance, I get nervous, and I don't know how well we're going to do.
And I got to echo pretty much everything of what Matthew just said. Like, you never count a team out in a rivalry game. Win, lose, or draw, it is still a rivalry at the end of the day, and is a football rivalry. So basically, these kids have at least played each other for 3 years. It is not like a basketball game anymore where you see the team once and then you're moving on to the NBA. Like, these guys have played each other for at least 3 years. So, I mean, the rivalry is deep in football, and just these teams just hate each other. And like I've seen Louisville play live twice this year, and their and that Puma pass guy, he is not a horrible quarterback. They just have a horrible line. Their line is pretty bad, and I really hope to see the Kentucky defense capitalize on that. Get a few big sacks and just really swing the momentum in Kentucky's favor the whole game, early and often. What I really want to see out of Kentucky on Saturday is them put together a full game like they did against Florida, week 2, I believe it was. We really haven't really seen them put together a full game like that since week 2 or week 3. Just like what Matthew alluded to, they either come out slow and sluggish, and they wake up in the second half and they pull the game out, i.e. Vanderbilt and the Missouri game, or they come out swinging and firing all cylinders on the first half, and then the second half they kind of stumble away, i.e. Middle Tennessee State game. So that's what I'm really looking forward to, is just them putting together a complete full game, build that momentum. They need to get behind their quarterback. I want to see Touchdown Terry throw some touchdowns. I want to see him light up the scoreboard, get 3 or 4 scores. Just build that guy's confidence for next year. Because if we truly think he is a quarterback of the future, for the rest of this season and for the next year, he really needs to get that confidence of the team and in himself behind him. And I think this game against Louisville is where he gets that confidence.
Mike, I am so torn on this game that I truly think that when you look at that stat sheet, Saturday, it's a late night, it's a 7 o'clock Saturday kickoff. So if you look at it Saturday night or Sunday morning, you're going to see feast or famine.
Yeah.
That either Kentucky is going to have, Benny Snell's going to have 60 yards rushing on 12 carries. Terry Touchdown has thrown 2 interceptions or a couple fumbles, and we just really look sluggish. Or we're going to go the exact opposite, because I'm going to call it, if we win if we win convincingly, I'm so confident that, like I said, either we're going to struggle with them and we're going to give them hope, or we're going to just blow the doors off that place and they're not even going to listen to their new coach. If we win convincingly, which I think there's a 50-50 chance right now, if we win convincingly, you're going to see Benny Snell get his 207 yards rushing. He needs to break Sonny Michel's touchdown record. No, what's his name? I'm drawing blank. The Kentucky touchdown record, or rushing yard record. You're going to see everyone score. You're going to see Benny have a touchdown. You're going to see Rose have a touchdown. You're going to see Wilson have a touchdown. You're going to see Bowden have a touchdown. You're going to see Gunnar Hoke have a touchdown. You're going to see Danny Clark have a touchdown. You're going to see Josh Allen have a touchdown. If it goes the way we want. Because I'm telling you, this defense, this Louisville team is right now looking for its direction. And I live in Louisville. We do too, Mike and Chris. You live close. I listen to a lot of Louisville radio in the morning. It's about the only thing I get, sports related. They are right now a team looking for an identity. Either they're going to find it against Kentucky, and I'm telling you, they got playmakers, and that scares the crap out of me, or they're going to be completely shattered. And if we can come out, if Lynn Bowden can take the opening kickoff back to the touchdown, back to the house, and then the next drive, Josh Allen get a scoop and score, and we go up 14-0, then boys, let's grab our own Kentucky gear because we all putting up touchdowns.
Exactly.
But if we come out stagnant, I'm telling you now, I don't want to say it in this chat because I know it's going to be there. Chris, I'm worried you're going to be dumbfounded.
Don't even say it.
If we come out struggling, don't be surprised. I'm not saying we lose. I think we can still struggle and win 17-14, something like that. But we've seen it. You wanted to talk about how many times, they did give up 77 to Clemson, one of the top teams in the country. They also put up 20+. Yes, they have given up 50 points, but they've also scored 30+. Yes. So if we give them life, that offense can put up points. That offense starts putting up points, our offense is going to get scared and disappear like it has before. That's my only concern.
And see, that's my only concern is that the offense, if Louisville finds a way to put up points on the board, even if it's just 21 or something, if our offense can't keep up, if they're extremely sluggish, and just can't keep up, then yeah, I could see it being a problem. I mean, but I would not be comfortable, going into the fourth quarter down a score or two and having to pull a Missouri again.
And Matt, you brought up the Cardinals putting up against 30 against Clemson. A lot of those points were in mop-up duty at the end of the game. So
Those give me touchdowns.
Yeah, I mean, like looking at the box score here, like a lot of them were mid third quarter on. So basically, probably when Clemson were kind of had the reserves in, that kind of thing, and kind of just wanting the clock to wear out.
I get that, Mike, but I would venture to say, now obviously not Josh Allen and not some of those guys that we have.
Well, I was going to say
I would venture to say Clemson's second and third string would be up there with
as good as ours.
Yeah.
So
100% right. 100% right.
Aside from Josh Allen, who's made some plays, and it's nice to get Pascal back. We've looked pretty rough against Tennessee, and in the second half, the Middle Tennessee State.
Right.
I mean, that quarterback from Middle Tennessee State, I think, had one incompletion after throwing a pick six up until we started bringing the pressure, and I think that's going to be the key. Let's say we jump out ahead early. What doesn't need to happen is safe dives and dropping back into zone. Because if we run dives, we're going to get a lot of 3 and outs. If we drop back in zone, we're going to give that quarterback, who's not the best, but he's not the worst, we're going to give him time to get. We need to do what we do. We run the ball with Benny, run some wildcat, hit some RPO, do some trick plays. I don't know when the last time I seen, and I know it's in the playbook, Benny take the snap to wildcat, hand it to Lynn Bowden, who hands it to Terry Wilson for a 60-yard bomb. Bring that bad boy up. Blitz. Make this guy pass. If we do that for 40 minutes, we're fine. If we do that for 60 minutes, we're fine. But if we get a 14-point lead, we start dropping back into the zone, and we let that quarterback get some momentum, we let that run game get going, we let that atrocious line get some confidence, it could be frustrating.
So just looking at this game and beyond, I'm talking like the bowl game next season, what kind of game make these Kentucky Wildcats better for next year? Are we wanting a blowout, 65-10 game, or do you think a 17-10 game will make this team better in the long run? Like, what type of game will improve this team the most, do you guys think?
So
honestly, man, it's a rivalry game, and if you really are a Kentucky fan, you want to destroy Louisville.
That's no question about it. But if you're thinking about it from a coaching standpoint, which type of game gives your players the best chance to be successful next year?
So let me kick this to you. Let me kick this to you, Mike and Chris. Right now, I was having this exact discussion. We are in no man's land right now for recruiting. If you look, since Mark Stoops has came in and got the kids he wants to start, we come out with great starts. We started 5-1 one year. We started 4-2, 5-1, 3-3, and then 5-1 this year. When Mark Stoops has his recruits fresh on the field, we're great. But in the back end, when the depth goes away, we struggle. So Mark Stoops, what he has to do is he has to do something to build that depth. Basically, he has to find a way to go in those kids' recruiting rooms, in the living rooms, and say, come here, play on our bench, and stick with our program. What that's going to take is this year. I'm glad you asked that question, Mike. Is this year and next year. This year, what we need is 10 wins, and I think what you have to do, and next year is a very winnable schedule, aside from going to Athens and going to Starkville. I think there could be 10 wins this year, 10 wins next year, which would be huge for Mark Stoops. What does he have to do that? We have to win by 60 and 70 points Saturday.
That's
and
what
no,
I don't care.
I don't care about the fans. And look, I love the fans. Actually, I'm a huge fan. I love some of the fans. Some of the other fans get on my nerves. But this isn't about the fans. This is about the program. And the reason this is, next year we are going to be super young on defense. We're replacing Josh Allen. We're replacing Jordan Jones. We're replacing almost everyone in our secondary. So our defense is going to struggle next year, early, middle, and late. We got to have a powered offense. We got to find out, is Terry Wilson the answer? If not, is Danny Clark the answer? If not, where is the answer? Who's going to replace Benny Snell? Who's going to be the big-time receivers? You don't find that. The next two games, this game and the bowl game, if you win, even if you win both, and you go and you win 7-3, 10-7, that's not going to be enough. You have to fight. Honestly, we don't have to win 70-0. If we win 60-50, I know there's going to be a lot of frustration, but I'll be okay because that means the offense is finding their group. Everybody wants to say, oh, what happened to the number one defense in the country? That defense is graduating. That defense has one more game. Josh Allen may even sit out the bowl game because he's going to be a top 10 pick. You know, that defense, enjoy them while they're here. They're tired. They've earned it. They played great. They got us some wins. They deserve a break. I need the offense to do something. I need Terry Wilson to throw some bombs. I need Lynn Bowden, who's had a great season, show me a little more. I need some of these young freshman receivers who've been making some nice catches, go for 100 yards. That's what I need. So, Mike, I don't care what the defense does. I need the offense to put up at least 6 touchdowns.
Chris, are you in the same thought process as that, or like?
Yeah, no. Hey, him and I are in each side of the boat. We're rowing it together because I completely agree with him. I would rather see the offense play better than the defense. I mean, really, if you think about it, even if the defense is giving up points, if your offense is running on all cylinders, clicking right, and doing, playing great, they can keep up. As long as you keep up on the scoreboard, you've got a shot in any game. I don't think we're going to need it for this game, but if it does happen, I mean, you don't know. I mean, Terry could come out and his first 2 throws be pick sixes, or he could just have 3 or 4 turnovers by halftime, and then we could be down 14, 21, something like that. If that does happen, the offense has got to keep up. Got to keep up.
So,
I mean,
go ahead, Matt.
I was just saying, real quick, I look at next year's schedule, and even though I think it's very winnable, there's going to be some legit quarterbacks. We play some senior-laden conference or MAC teams. We play a Florida team that's going to have a third-year Felipe Franks. You got a South Carolina team who's bringing their quarterback back. You got a Georgia team who's going to have a Jake Fromm probably in the peak of his college career if they haven't moved on to one of the top recruits. So we're playing some teams that I think we can beat. Arkansas always has a good quarterback. We're playing some teams I think we can beat, but they're going to give up points. And with us having that young secondary next year, we're going to have to put up points with them. So this year we won games 14-7. Next year it's probably going to take 35-28.
And I definitely have to agree with everything you guys are saying. I think this is going to be a blowout game. It's going to be a lopsided victory. But playing the other side of the hand here, let's say it is a close game going into halftime. We're talking 17-10, 13-10 type of score. Does Kentucky go with Gunnar Hoke in the second half, or do you stick with Terry throughout the whole game and say you are our quarterback, you're the quarterback of the future, make this happen? I
mean, you got to stick with Terry, man. You got to, because even if Terry's not playing good, and you bring in Gunnar right after halftime, or bring him in for a series, we've seen what can happen. He could come in and his very first throw could be a pick. I mean, you got to stick with Terry. I mean, we talked about this on a previous show because I can remember Coach Stoops talking about, because he got asked that question in a news conference. They asked him about sitting Terry and going with Gunnar and what they were going to do and so on and so on. And Coach Stoops pretty much echoed the same thing. I mean, once you make your choice at who is going to play quarterback for you, you got to ride them out, man. I mean, even if they're not playing so good, you've got to ride them out. You got to give them that shot.
Matthew, anything to add to that?
I'm right there with you. Since that Central Michigan game, since Gunnar Hope came in and threw a nice bomb to number 33, I'm drawing a blank on his name. Since that occurred, Gunnar Hope has really been disappointing. So I can't really be an advocate for replacing him and bringing him back in. And if you look at the other end, Terry Wilson has played his best ball. Now, Mike, you brought up the running the no huddle. I don't think you should run the no huddle the whole game because your defense is playing a lot this year. But Terry Wilson has really looked impressive when he can't think. That final drive versus Missouri, those final 3 drives versus Georgia, when he's just going to the line, whipping the ball around, hitting an RPO, hitting Conrad, hitting Bowden, throwing slants without truly thinking, he actually looks nice. So I would actually say the exact opposite on that one. If you're down 13-10 or you're even up 13-10 and you find yourself needing a quick drive, just put Terry Wilson in no-think mode, and I think you'll be okay.
And I think you're right on that. So before we move on to basketball here, what are you guys' final scores of Saturday, Chris?
42-7. Kentucky, obviously.
42-7. Got it. Matthew
I'm
Lyle.
going to go 38-20.
38-20. All right. And I'm going to have to go 56-27 on this one. I think.
What's the over/under on this?
Let me look.
They're giving Kentucky how many points? I already know that.
Over/under is 52.5 points, and Kentucky's favored by 17.
I'll take that.
Alrighty, guys. So let's move on to basketball. Kentucky played an afternoon game against the Winthrop Eagles. Tip-off was at 1 o'clock, I do believe. They did come out on top, 87-74 here. I gotta admit, I didn't get a chance to watch the whole game yet. I slept through it. I DVR'd it. I got to about halftime before the son decided thought he was hungry. I do know that Matthew Lyle, you watched the game, right?
Yeah, I was actually at work, but I still was able to peep it out. They had it on the TV, so I was able to see enough to chime in and give some thoughts on it.
Yeah. So, just to go through some scores here. P.J. Washington had his second double-double of the year. Last year he had 3 total all season. He had 19 points. Looks like 11 rebounds as well. Tyler Hero had 15 points. And Nick Richards looks like he was the next leading scorer with 10 points here. So actually that's not true. Quade Green was the next leading scorer off the bench with 11 points. So Matthew, just give me your take on this game and the season so far.
Well, what we're seeing is we saw the Duke game go like it did, and no reason to spend a lot of time on that. And then it went back to the basics. It's just like college. You roll in, you take that. You think you're ready for some calculus. You take that entry exam, and you realize you have to go back to do basic math. And this is what this is. It's not fun. There's really no way to really win these games. I mean, because if you don't win, if you win by 40, you're supposed to. If you don't, the world's on fire. So it's just going to be tough. It's just trying to figure out what you're going to be. I've looked at the positions. I watch. I try to break down everything I see and my thoughts on how they grow. That point guard position, it's kind of got me scared. I don't see anybody really stepping up between Higgins and Quickly. They both show signs, but they're also showing some nervous. They're showing some getting lost in that rotation. That old adage, if you have 2 quarterbacks, you don't have any. Well, if you have 2 point guards, maybe you don't have any here either. Quade Green, we know what he gets. He seems to be the player that when it's time for him to do something, he does it, at least these last couple of games, so I'm glad there. Tyler Hero's your typical shooter. He had some good games. He had some cold games. Tyler Hero also, when he played Duke, he had never played talent like that. Tyler Hero wasn't one of your recruits that was on the AAU circuit. He wasn't playing against Zion Williams and these cats in high school. He was playing against your typical Wisconsin high schools. So he kind of got a hit in the face when he played against Duke. Now he's playing against some guys his own skill. I think he's 10 folds better than anybody he's playing now, but he's getting in the rhythm. I think Keldon Johnson and E.J. Montgomery is the future of this team. They're just trying to figure it out. You see it starting to click. I tell fans all the time, don't stress about E.J. Montgomery right now. E.J. Montgomery's used to being the big man on campus. He used to being the tallest guy on the court. And now with these schools, he has to guard somebody who's his height that likes to shoot threes. So they kind of pull him out of his comfort zone. I think he's going to be better for it later on down the road. Right. Reed Travis, it looks great. Reed Travis, I mean, he just seems – I think it was you that called it. I was concerned he would get lost in the big Kentucky Lights. You said he was going to be just your consistent leader. He reminds me of the Leonard Fournette of basketball. whether he's down there just dribbling or whether he's dunking on you, you hate to deal with him. And I'm really impressed with him. Nick Richards and PJ, I like what I'm seeing, but I'm afraid it's just a product of them being the tallest guys on the court. Can Nick Richards do this when the guy's equally as tall as him? Can he block 6 guys when there's another 6'10" guy on the court? Or can he only block it when the tallest guy's 6'8"? So I like what I'm seeing against those 2 guys, but I need to see it in SEC play. I need to see it against Kansas. I need to see it against North Carolina. But overall, I sure have a lot of optimism for this team.
Chris, any insights on this game?
No, man, you're right. I completely agree with him. I mean, we're not even in the SEC play yet, and you can see each game that this team's kind of gradually getting to know each other a little more, playing better with each other a little more. Reed, obviously, as Matt said, I mean, this guy, he's awesome. I think him and PJ Washington are going to turn into the guys that pretty much carry this team. They're going to be the leaders. They're going to carry this team. Tyler, I mean, yeah, man, you're right. I didn't know. I thought just about all these recruits that come into Kentucky start on that AAU circuit and have been playing against these, high-profile guys and stuff. But, I mean, maybe you're right. Tyler's not used to playing these, type caliber players, and he's got to get used to it, It's going to take him a couple games to do that. It's going to take this team a couple more games to get really to really gel and get used to each other. But when SEC play starts, like Matt said, I mean, that's when you got to show up. That's when games are going to start to get harder, and then you kind of get into the middle of that season when it gets harder and harder and harder, and then Kansas comes knocking. You got to play them, or North Carolina comes knocking, got to play them, and then March comes around the corner before you know it, and that's when you really got to show up.
Yeah,
we actually talked about this, and earlier in the off season, I was all like, I was all excited. Can we platoon again? Is that going to be a thing? And now it looks like the exact opposite's happening. We have talent, but I wouldn't be surprised if the time February rolls around, if not sooner, is Cal dwindled down to just 7 guys. You already know Montgomery's going to play. You already know Johnson's going to play. You know Quade and Reed's going to play. So that's 4. I think when you got a shooter like Hero, you always got to give him minutes. So now it basically comes down to P.J. Washington and Nick Richards. You got to have a big, and you got to have a point guard. I think P.J. Washington's head and shoulders better than Richards, so I think he's going to grab that spot. And then you're going to find out Hagan's or Quickly. Do you want Quickly's offense, or do you want Hagan's defense? But I think you're going to start seeing this dwindle, especially as once we get to December 15th, we start playing Utah, North Carolina, Louisville, right into the conference schedule. I think at that point you start seeing this roster and this rotation really tighten up, and I think that's when you're going to see us play our best basketball.
And
that's another thing, man. Coach Cal's still kind of messing around with this team, trying to figure out who he's going to have start consistently and who he's not. That's another thing we kind of got to take into consideration too.
Yeah, and I was actually just going to bring up the whole starting rotation up. Like we have 4 games here before we're playing really good teams like Utah, North Carolina here, and I noticed today that he did not start Reed Travis. He started Nick over Reed there. What do you guys think an ideal starting 5 is for this team moving forward into January and February and beyond?
So for me, what I think your ideal is, and maybe I'm overthinking it because I do think this a lot. I think your ideal starters is you go Hagan. He seems to be Hagan's a point guard because he seems to be a firecracker when he can get going. You go Hagan's, you go Quade, you got to have him on the court. Keldon at the 3, and then either E.J. Montgomery and P.J. at the 5. And then Reed Travis, he's mature enough to come off the bench because he knows. Look, Reed Travis sounds like he's having the time of his life at Kentucky. He sounds like this is his – he knows he's not going to probably go to the NBA. This is his NBA. He did his 4 years of work at Stanford. This is his NBA. I think he's mature enough to know I can come off the bench. It's not how you start, it's how you finish. I can come off the bench, still get 20, 25, 30 minutes, and still get my double-double. And then I think you have Tyler Hero come off the bench. I think Tyler Hero's that typical NBA sixth man, that man who has no pressures of starting. I see it. He sometimes looks lost out there.
You think that would help him?
I think it would.
I think it would too, man. Coming off
no pressure.
No pressure.
Absolutely.
He's not going to think as hard. I mean, he's not going to think as much about shot
No
placement
pressure.
and so on. He's just going to run and gun.
Exactly. By this time, whoever's guarding him has already been chasing around somebody else.
Right.
Let him hit a couple of open threes. Let him get to the free throw line. And I think you see a completely different. You see the true version of what they call your perfect sixth man.
Right.
I think him, and I think he's one of those guys that can handle it. I think Reed Travis can mentally handle it. I think you've got to start Nick Richards if you're going to play him. If you're not going to play him, then sit him on the bench and do whatever you want. But if you're going to play him, I think you got to start him. I think he's just so – I don't mean it's disrespectful. I think he's not there mentally, like strength-wise, that he gets down on himself. And if he comes off the bench and makes a mistake, I think you've lost him. At least if you start him, he knows you're confident in him. But if you put him on the bench, then put him in, and then he makes a mistake, and then you forget about him,
then he's going to get in his head.
Exactly. So if you're going to play him, you got to start him. If you don't want him in the roster, if he's not a part of your rotation, then it doesn't matter. Go sit him at the end of the bench and hope he comes back as a junior as a better player. But that's my only wild card there, because I think talent-wise, he's not in the top 8. But, I mean, Kenny Payne said it the other night after the VMI game. We need him to be a shot blocker. He's the best shot blocker we have. We need him to do it. He just looks so lost when it becomes a thing of skill.
And just speaking of that, he has had 2 block shots in the last 3 games. So he is getting in there and blocking shots for the 12 to 15 minutes that he is playing. So, Matthew, you are on the show here saying that by late December, early January, we're going to have a 7 to 8 man rotation. So out of these 9 guys that are playing 10 plus minutes, you see EJ finding his way out of the rotation as long as quickly? Is that what you're thinking here?
Well, EJ, are you talking to EJ Montgomery? Because he's a power forward.
Well, yeah.
Quickly in the hay. Well, because, look, I think with Quade is one of those things where he is what he is. He's not going to be overly great, but he's not going to be overly horrible. He's just going to be
your average.
Yeah, he's going to be decent enough. I don't think people make fun of me on RPF because I always call him the old trusty. He's one of those, he's going to get the job done type guys. So, and plus he can play point. I don't think you need 2 struggling point guards. So it's either Higgins or Quickly. Which one ever struggles is going to find himself on the bench. Montgomery is going to find himself starting and find himself playing a lot of minutes as he develops. Because I think him and Keldon Johnson are about the only 2 who legitimately have a shot at going first round.
Okay. Well, I I agree with everything you've been saying, but just basing off the minutes so far, EJ Montgomery and Higgins and Nick Richards kind of seem to be the odd men out. They're only averaging about 12 to 14 minutes a game here.
Well, and that's like I said, and I get that, and that's why I said, Kentucky fans, and pump your brakes on EJ Montgomery, because he's going to do his best work when he's playing guys his speed. As silly as that sounds, he's playing guys. He's got to guard a guy who likes to shoot threes. When you play these teams like a VMI, like a North Dakota, like a team, Southern Illinois, Winthrop, Tennessee State, I'm just looking through the schedule. When you play those type of teams, their 4 guy, their power forward, typically is probably an inch or 2 shorter than you and loves to shoot threes. So EJ Montgomery now has to guard that. I think he struggles that. When we start playing Tennessee, when we start playing Auburn, when we start playing Kansas and Florida, and they have legitimate 4s who's going to back you to the basket, I think that's when you're going to see EJ Montgomery earn his minutes.
Alrighty. And so, just moving forward here, looking at our next game, we have Tennessee State at home on Friday, I do believe it is. Tennessee State is averaging 85.6 games a game, and Kentucky's averaging 85.8 points a game. just looking at the Tennessee State record, they really haven't played a lot of anybody here. These abbreviations, I not even going to try. Frisk, like they played a Frisk University, CSUN. Who is that? They don't even say that. But I mean, obviously, I feel like we're going to pick. That's Cal State Northridge beats Tennessee State. I know we have Kentucky winning this game. That's no question about it. The question is, what are you guys expecting out of this game? Are we looking to just flex our recruiting power here and just like, hey, Kentucky is a place where you want to be, put together a complete game? What are you guys expecting from this matchup on Friday?
Oh, that's exactly what it's going to be. It's just going to be another, I know I use this term a lot, but it's going to be another one of them warm-up games. I mean, what, Tennessee State, is that the name of this team?
Yep, Tennessee State Tigers.
Okay, exactly, and they never heard of them, but still, the people they played are not even close to the caliber team that we are. I mean, but honestly, man, you could sit here and say that it's not even going to be close all day long, but this team could show up, and we could be a complete dumpster fire and lose it. I mean, you never know; it could happen. But I don't see it happening. The more the team's going to play, the more together they're going to be. PJ's probably going to have another great game, probably another triple-double, whatever. And Reed, he's probably going to have a great game too. I mean, we were just talking about this, guys coming off the bench and stuff like that. Tyler Hero, I thought this dude was going to be lights out this year, but I would like to see him. I don't think he's going to start. It would be nice to see him come off the bench, like we were just talking about, him not have to think about situations and stuff like that. I mean, he knows he's only going to get a certain amount of minutes, and just to make the best of them. And maybe that'll make him a different player. You never know. You never know. But yeah, the more this is going to go, the clearer that the starting five is going to be. The roster is going to get a whole lot clearer. It comes with time, man. It just comes with time.
So, aside from the Duke embarrassment, I like to pride myself, even though I'm maybe a little bit more on the pessimistic end at times. I feel like I'm pretty realistic with my expectations. And aside from that Duke embarrassment, we're about on task where I thought we would be. You typically see this with Cal teams. You see this with teams who take these teams over for granted. The thing that I wanted to see today and I didn't see is we were up by 23 points. And then before you know it, we were up at 9. So my goal is for Tennessee State is to do everything we've been doing except that final 5 minutes. Just go ahead and put them out of their misery. I want to see that over the next 3 games. We got Tennessee State, Monmouth, and UNC Greensboro. I need to see that over the next 3 games. And then we got Seton Hall, Utah. I need to see us struggle a little bit and then come back. Then you got North Carolina at Louisville. That's when we take that next step. Then you got the conference plays where I want to see you take a loss and come back against good opponents. It's easy to get in. If the way we played against Duke and then we turn around and play against Southern Illinois, in conference play, that's 2 losses. Don't care who you're against in conference play. So there's things we need to see as we go. All I need to see Friday and even next Saturday in UNC Green or next week in Monmouth, I think Wednesday, is the first 30 minutes I'm fine with. Everything we've got in the last couple weeks, I'm fine with that first 30 minutes. Just close it out that final 10 minutes against these opponents. When you have that opponent who's scared, who realizes, oh, crap, I'm in ruck. Oh, crap, I'm playing future NBA players, and I'm down by 20, I need you to finish them.
Right.
I need you to show them how bad it is. Because right now, the way we've been playing, is you can see the fear. You can see the fear in the players. You can see the frustration in the coach's eyes. You can see our fan base is ready. And then one of their guys will come down, hit a 3. We'll get a turnover. They'll hit another 3. And next thing you know, there's that hope again. And it's not enough hope to do anything because you never really feel like you're going to lose. But it's just enough hope to make these games frustrating. So what I want to see Friday and next week is when you get them there, when those bench players on the other team are slouched over, just hit a big dunk and a big 3-pointer in their eye. So the coach just points at the 5 last guys on the bench and tells them to go in and finish it out.
And this is the time of year where these young freshmen learn how to become men. Okay, and let me explain why to this. Okay, this is probably the first time they are not going to be home for Thanksgiving. They won't have their mom, cutting them ham, having a plate, watching the ball game on the TV with your pops and uncles there and stuff like that. Like this is the first time these young kids have been away from home during a Thanksgiving, during Christmas, during New Year's Eve. This is where that homesick feeling starts to take place. Okay, and this is exactly when this team will start to grow and will start to play like the team like everybody expect them to be at the beginning of the year. A championship caliber team, that number 1, number 2 ranked team in the nation, and this next month is month and a half is they're going to make this team, because just like what Matthew alluded to, like we have North Carolina coming in a couple of days before Christmas here. What is it, like 3 days before Christmas?
Yeah, 22nd.
Yeah, and then that following week, like you have a week to prep and either celebrate that win or lick your wounds after that loss, and like then you go into a rivalry game versus the Cards. And then right after that, we are into league play. So these next 5 games, they're a big stepping stone for this team. These next 5 games, they're going to show you what this team is made of in the long run. If they can handle being away from mom and dad on Thanksgiving, on Christmas, and they can go 7-0 in the month of December and the rest of November here. This is a Final Four capable team, 100%.
I agree.
Oh yeah, man, definitely. I think honestly, man, that Seton Hall game looks pretty juicy. Because they're a real basketball team, man. I think we'll get a clear picture, really, that game. Because I believe that's like 2 or 3 games before we play Louisville and then get into North Carolina. I mean, that's going to be.
Yeah, you kind of hit a stretch there. You play Seton Hall, North Carolina,
right,
and then Louisville, and then you jump in at Alabama. So
I think that 3-game stretch right there is really going to be the telltale of what the rest of our year is going to be. Those 3 games will pretty much set the tone for the rest of the season.
I mean, we're going to have, let's look at the rest of the schedule, we're going to have opportunities to see what we're made of, and losing 5 or 6 games, look, nobody's thrilled with it, but it's fine, because I'm looking at this schedule here. I see, yes, we got North Carolina and then Louisville. You got to know them are going to be tough. Then you're at Bama. Then you host Texas A&M. That's always tough.
Look at the
then
end of January, Matt.
Making my way. You got Georgia, Auburn back to back on the road. We just saw what Auburn can do.
Yeah.
Then you get Mississippi State at home, which might be a little bit of a breather. Actually, no, they're ranked in the top 25, so there's that. Then you get Kansas. Then you're Vandy at Florida. Then you're at Mississippi State. LSU, a good Tennessee team. On the road to Memphis, or on the road to Missouri, which you should be able to beat Missouri, but you're on the road to the Zoo. That could be a tough one. Then you come back to Auburn. Then you finish with Tennessee, Ole Miss, and Florida. So losses are coming. It's just, are you going to be able to get hit in the mouth? Are you going to be able to go to Auburn and lose, and then turn around and come home, beat Mississippi State, and still be up and ready to go for Kansas all within 7 days? And
without overlooking the Mississippi State to the Kansas game, that
right, exactly, or getting beat by Auburn, struggling with Mississippi State, and still having faith when that Kansas team comes to town. Who there's a good chance Kansas could be number 1 after Duke got knocked off. Are they still number 1 when they come to town? They'll probably be a top 3 team based on everything I've seen from them. So yeah, I'm just looking at the schedule, and fans are going to have to be patient, because this could be a 6-loss team. This could be that 2014 team with Julius Randle, where by the time March got here, you were so fed up but then you blink and you're in the championship game.
Right. Well, I mean, looking forward, I'm really looking forward to mid-January, end of February. That gauntlet of games that is getting ready to happen at Georgia, at Auburn, Mississippi State, Kansas, at Vanderbilt, at Florida. When you play 4 SEC conference games on the road out of those 6 games, and then your 2 home games are against ranked opponents, I mean, that will definitely make a boy a man real fast.
I mean, I'm just looking at the schedule, and I know a lot of fans are like, "Oh, I'm tired of playing this high school team. Oh, I'm playing Jeffersonville High." Enjoy it. I hate to keep harping on this schedule, but I look at it, and now that the season's kind of came out a little bit, I keep shaking my head. Utah and Seton Hall are going to be decent. North Carolina's good. Louisville looked decent against Tennessee. And then once you get into conference play, being in the SEC historically, there's been games where when you come home, when you got a Tuesday night, 9 o'clock game in the conference, sometimes you're not interested. Sometimes it's easy to spend half the game on your phone. Or it's easy for fans to not be engaged. I'm looking at this schedule. You can't do that. Texas A&M has given you a run for their money. Vanderbilt's always considered a rival. On the road, Georgia. On the road, Auburn. Mississippi State probably going to be ranked. You know what Kansas is. And then you're on the road. South Carolina at home just made the Final Four. The only one that on this looks like might catch you sleeping is home against Arkansas. But by then, it's so late in the season, you got to need it. You're going to need to watch that game.
Right. Alrighty, guys. So, let's kind of move on here to the final topic that I have for today's show. The top ranked recruit in the nation, James Wiseman, he did decide to go to Memphis over Kentucky, and I see a lot of people, like a lot of fans, even Calipari himself, said that he is losing his recruiting touch. And I've been on record saying that Calipari is a great recruiter, just a mediocre coach. And just looking back at his top 9 draft classes, the 2015 class, they were ranked number 1. They had Isaiah Hisco, Humphreys, Jamal Murray, just to name a few players there. And then they had 2012 they had the number 1 ranking class. 2017 they had the number 2 ranking class. 2010 the number 1 ranking class. So I mean, Calipari has proven to make himself a great recruiter, even up till 2017 class was ranked number 2, I think it said, or the 15 was ranked number 1 and 2017 was ranked number 2. So Chris Hill, do you think Calipari has lost his recruiting touch by not getting James Wiseman to Kentucky?
Hey, Chris, take your time on this.
No.
Once you're done, because once you're done, I'm about to rip into everything Mike just said. Not disagreeing with you, Mike. Just something that's been weighing on my mind. So, Chris, take your time. And then when you're done, I'll step up to the plate.
No, it'll be short and sweet, man. No, he hasn't lost his recruiting touch. Wiseman, isn't he a Memphis kid?
Nashville, I do believe.
He's from Nashville, but the last couple of years he went to Memphis and played at Memphis.
All right, well, okay, so that's not that big of a surprise. He decided to stay home. I mean, I get that. He could have come to Kentucky and still been close to home, but still, I mean, it doesn't matter, because look, we were just talking about this last week. I mean, look at next year, he can have, what's his name? LaMelo Ball. He can have Ball, who was in Lexington today, by the way. He was at the game. I don't know if I saw that or not.
I did.
Because he's coming to Kentucky.
But I mean, he could come next year, and then we're not. And this isn't a moot point. I mean, why are we even talking about it? I know why we are, but still, I mean, Ball could come in next year. The year after that, we can get LeBron James' son. I mean, there's still more high-profile recruits in the pipeline. I don't think a bad year, and really, it's not even a bad year. I mean, consistently recruiting for us, and we've had how many McDonald's All-Americans? I mean, I'd be shocked. It's shocked. Well, I'm shocked that we don't have at least 9, 10, 11 of them every year when we recruit. I mean, I don't think it really matters, man. Everybody wants to come to Kentucky to play college basketball. It's going to be that whole next man up thing.
Well,
I don't think
clear that's not the point because everybody they went to Duke, or they're going to Memphis, or they're going,
I mean, they can, but one player is not going to make or break your recruiting season. I don't think so, no, man. I don't think he hasn't lost his touch, hasn't lost his edge. No, I was not shocked that Wiseman chose Memphis, not at all.
Okay, before Matthew Lyle crushes our airways with his voice of magic, let me clear our throats here. Everybody, open up your ears and Matthew, have at it.
I thank you for the platform. I wish I would have prepared a little more for this, but I've got a lot of thoughts going on here. First off, when Cal said I'm overrated as a recruiter, that was the most Calipari thing I've ever heard, because he followed it up by recruiting. He followed it up by saying, when I come into your living room, I'm not going to lie to you. When I come into your living room, I'm going to tell you the truth. When I come into the living room, I'm going to be honest with you. That he was recruiting by saying he's overrated as a recruiter. Basically, what I took away from it is Duke and these other schools are telling you what you want to hear. I'm not. Come see me when you want to play. So, yes, he did say he's overrated as a recruiter. That was Cal recruiting. Second off, yes, this one does hurt with James Wiseman because Cal's been recruiting for many years, or 2 years. But Memphis hired the only person that could change that. Penny Hardaway. He's been playing for him in AAU ball for the last 2 years, who also hired one of his coaches. This is literally the only move that could have been made that would have gotten him. And it was only made to get him. If this kid wasn't coming out, this and DJ Jeffries wasn't coming out of high school, they would have kept Tubby. I guarantee it. They would have moved on Penny a year or two later after he got some more coaching under his belt. But they felt that relationship was there. They moved in instantly and got it.
And I think they also hired his uncle or his dad to be a part of the staff as well.
Right. You see that everywhere because typically these guys, their dad's either AAU coaches or high school or little league coaches. They're always involved somewhere. So it tends to hide up. I've not heard that per se, but it makes sense. Moving on to Calipari. So this has become noise since your typical Kentucky, since you're just your average Kentucky fan. And I use that in the sense that they don't really pay attention to the player before they put on the blue and white, and they don't really pay attention to them after they put on the blue and white. Since those fans started keeping up with how Cal does one and done, they started panicking. They started saying, well, what's going on? Cal's not always win. Only twice in Cal's era here has he went and got for the number one player in the class. Anthony Davis in 11, Nerlens Noel in 12. He didn't go for Derek Favors in 2009. He went for Cousins and Walls. He didn't go for Harrison Barnes the next year. He went after Brandon Knight, Terrence Jones. He really liked those. He didn't go after Ben Simmons. He didn't dive in after Jabari Parker. So he's not always going to go after that kid who just wants to go. I don't even know how much he really recruited Michael Porter. He didn't really recruit Romeo Langford too much. So Cal doesn't always go at, yes, he might be recruiting him. Yes, they might have an offer. But I'm talking about getting on a plane, going recruiting. He doesn't always do that. And his MO is more getting guys, like Karl Anthony Towns was number 8 recruit. Devin Booker was the number 21 recruit. Eric Bledsoe wasn't even ranked in the ESPN 150. He likes going guys that he thinks fit his scheme, that he likes. Yes, obviously he wants Anthony Davis, John Wall in there, and then mixing that together and going to where he needs to go. Cal likes being an NBA coach without dealing with the NBA body. So he wants somebody he can yell at, kick his feet, stomp around, wave his arms, spit on with his shrapnel when he's yelling, but doesn't require a whole lot of grooming. So when fans are panicking, oh no, he didn't get this guy. Calm down. It happens. Now, to Mike's point, it is a valid point. Duke has been out here kind of grabbing up some of these guys. It makes it a little rough. It makes it a little tougher to swallow. But
especially when they beat the crap out of you.
This year's a little tougher. This recruiting class is a little tougher. All the big men are gone. But I'm not really worried about it because typically what's going to happen is in March or April next year, when we lose the guys that we lose, there's going to be somebody that's going to reclassify. There's going to be somebody in the next year's class that says, oh, Kentucky has an opening. Let me go for that. So I'm not really too concerned. I don't think Cal's losing his edge. I think Cal's a front runner. Cal was the first person to really start this, to say, hey, I'm going to do one and done, and I'm going to commit to it. Everyone else is just showing up to the party now.
Right.
So now, when you go back to 2009 and you look at that rankings, it's Kentucky, 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 throw in another school. Kentucky, 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 throw in another school. You look at this year, it's not even really Kentucky and Duke as much. Duke has the top three. Then it goes Florida, Texas, North Carolina State, UCLA, Arizona, California. You know, they just start – everybody's at the one-and-done party now. Cal was just there first.
And
I think Cal's going to be ready to move on. He's going to be ready to find that next thing. He's going to get ready to move on to the next table. What that table is, I don't know yet, but I bet Cal does. I hope it's not leaving. I hope it's not him leaving, but Cal's already one move ahead. To Chris's point, I do not want to see any of the Ball brothers here. He's going to be riddled. He's going to be riddled with eligibility issues. And if anything, next year we're not going to need a guard because I have a feeling all these 4 or 5 guards we got on the roster this year are not leaving, and we're bringing a guard in. So we don't need another guard. And you really think on what planet Calipari and LeVar Ball are going to exist? There's not enough TV stations in this area of media where you can get where we all three have a TV show or a podcast that no one, not many people listen to, but we can still do what we want. There's not enough room on the internet for Calipari and LeVar Ball to be in the same city. So
you think?
That's not happening. That's not happening. Now, to Mike's point, there's one point that I find very interesting, and I'm going to steal a statement that was made by KSR Matt Jones that has really jumped out to me about because there is a debate. Cal's a good recruiter, but is he a good coach? Who's the better coach, him or Coach K? Now, I seem to be on the side that Cal's a good coach. He just coaches NBA style. Sometimes college players struggle in an NBA style. Also, this year will tell me a lot. If Coach K can take these because Matt Jones said that Duke has a team that usually Kentucky does with your 3 one-and-dones, your top 3 picks in the draft, and Coach K and Cal has a team that typically Coach K has with a grad transfer, some sophomores, some freshmen, a white guy that can shoot. They've almost flipped rosters. So this year's going to tell me a lot. If K can take this team and win, I got some questions for Cal. But if K comes up short, if this team doesn't, or Cal goes further in the tournament, that's got to settle it. Because that tells you cannot win with these kids. Only twice, 1-2 in the history since they started recording these rankings, which has been over 20 years, has a team ranked in the top 5 recruiting, actually even the top 10 in recruiting, won the title that year. It was Kentucky in 12 and Duke in 15. Every other year, those teams do not win the title. So it's tough to win with these kids. So if K can do it, if K does it this year, maybe Cal is doing it wrong. But I don't think he's going to, and I think it's going to tell a lot that you can't win with these kids, and Cal's, once again, ahead of the curve. Cal's trying to get these 5-star kids that are going to stay a couple years, and he's going to be the dude winning with 5-star sophomores.
Okay. Now, let me crest in the airways a little bit here, Matthew. Just to allude to your point, that like the players are starting to go other places, not going to Kentucky, and they're going to Duke, etc. This just shows you that players can play anywhere and make it to the NBA. So like, I kind of feel like James Wiseman went to where he went because he wants to be that star. Give me 1 second. Sorry. He doesn't want to be a alpha among other alphas. He wants to be that alpha on that team 100%. And I feel like a lot of these players seen what other players have done that have gone to small schools, i.e. Michael Porter Jr. He went to, the Tigers there, and he didn't play at maybe 3 or 4 games, but he still went in the draft. So like, players are seeing this, and they know they can get their name out there and they could be seen. Like we have on any given day, you can probably turn on ESPN2, FS1, FS, Fox Sports Indiana, etc. You can find a basketball game on there. It could be Indiana State, it could be Western Kentucky. The teams are getting on air, so those players are getting seen. So the recruiting is getting that much harder. As far as Cal losing his touch, I would say Cal has not lost his touch, because if you go back to all of these recruiting classes here, he does always seem to land at least a top 5 player, a couple top 10s. Like, I feel when Coach Cal is recruiting, he is recruiting a team. He is not recruiting a player, if that makes sense. So like, he's building a team around his recruiting class, not a player.
Right.
So like,
I definitely. Yeah. I agree with that, Max. And to your point, yeah. I mean, it's hard to believe Cal's been here a decade. 10 years ago, if you didn't work in the top 25, you weren't on TV.
Right.
Now everyone's on TV. Now with ESPN to go and all these portable apps, you can watch anybody. And look, you don't even have to make it to the tournament and be seen to make it. Ben Simmons, Markelle Fultz missed the NCAA tournament, still went number 1. What I think Cal is doing, to Mike, it's a solid point you made there, he's building teams. I think last year was him changing his motive. But I think he still throws us fans a bone to distract us while he's working in his garage. If you notice, one thing that jumped out to me last year, there was a lot of pieces last year, but no real foundation. Then he brought in Kevin Knox, and I thought that was going to be the glue, but it wasn't. I think what you're seeing is he's going to more of a North Carolina style. He's recruiting guys he's just recruiting everybody. The old saying, you throw spaghetti at a wall and you see what sticks. I think he's recruiting 10 and 12 guys, and he drags them through the gauntlet. And I think what you're going to see, I think you're going to see next year even, you're going to look and you're going to see, almost like Gonzaga looked tonight. I watched that Gonzaga game, and Duke obviously had all these NBA stars in the future. I was like, how is Gonzaga this good? I was watching, I was like, how is this a thing?
And they're consistently that good. Like, they're
right.
consistently in the top 10. Like,
don't be surprised if you look at next year and Kentucky's ranked number 1 in the country, and you're like, how are they good? You know how they're good? Because they have a junior Quade Green. Right. They have a junior Nick Richards. They have a sophomore Tyler Hero. They have a sophomore E.J. Montgomery. They have a sophomore Ashton Hagans. They have a freshman Whitley. They have a freshman Maxey. They're bringing all these guys in, and I think this is what Cal's doing. Cal wants a assembly line. He did the assembly line with the one and done, boom, 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 number one player. I truly think he's switching to where he's going to have 2 juniors, 2 sophomores, 3 freshmen.
Well,
every year, rotating.
And he has to. Well, I mean, and to kind of further prove your point there, like, that will be a lot easier now that the NBA has that rule where you can go into the draft. If you're not drafted, you can go back to college, and get and get better and get improved. So, I mean, you're going to have more sophomores, more
Right.
juniors at Kentucky strictly just by that point.
And I think Cal loves that rule, and I think you're going to see Cal push to have that rule be more player friendly. Because, look, you can disagree and agree. I'm just talking about in fans in general. I think Cal not only has been doing this for the last couple of years. If you look at his recruiting classes since 2013, he came through 2010, 11, and 12, and made it to the Elite Eight, Final Four, and National Championship. In 2013, he found himself with a horrible roster, and he went to the NIT with it. Since then, he's been trying to do this. He's just created a culture that didn't help. You look at that 2014 class, he recruited everybody. He had the Harrison twins. He had Young. He had Randall. He had Willie. He had the two kids from Kentucky. I'm drawing a blank on my name, Hawkins and Willis. Then he recruits Tyler Eulis, Isaiah Bristow, Isaac Humphreys, Charles Matthews, William Gabriel, Sasha Clay-Jones, all guys that I guarantee you when he went into their living room, he had full intent for them to stay 3 years and develop. They just wasn't buying into it. They were drinking the wrong Kool-Aid.
Yep.
They were drinking the one-and-done Kool-Aid instead of the 3-year Kool-Aid. Cal's trying to get to that point. I'm sure if Cal's vision would have came true. Now, Cal says player-friendly stuff on camera because he always knows kids are watching. But in a private moment with his assistant coaches, Cal had a vision of Tyler Eulis playing as a senior. Cal had a vision of William Gabriel and Sasha Clay-Jones being juniors this year and helping out these young guards. Cal has a vision of, and forgive me for this comparison, Cal has the vision of Tyler Hero being Kentucky's friendlier version of Grayson Allen, where he's that senior that can just score 40 points in a night. Cal has that vision, and he's just trying to change that culture. Because if you look at our history, there's a lot of guys that had no business being one and done.
Yep.
But Cal is, I always tell people all the time, Marcus Teague picked Kentucky over IU. If he went to IU, he would have stayed 3 years. Trey Lyles picked Kentucky over IU. If Trey Lyles would have went to IU, he'd have stayed 2 years. If Devin Booker would have went to Missouri, he would have stayed 2 years. It's just you get here in this one-and-done culture, and you want to be a part of that mass exodus. Cal's trying to change that. I'm telling you, watch out. Next year, you're going to have 2 or 3 juniors, 2 or 3 sophomores, and a couple of freshmen, and it's just going to be a rotating globe, and you're going to be like, I thought Cal lost it, and I think that's when you're going to see Cal win multiple titles once he gets that rotation of 5 stars who aren't quite good enough to go pro, so they just keep working with him.
And just before I add my final point here, you did bring up our podcast not having very many viewers here, but I do appreciate the 200 people that do tune in to us, throughout the weekend. Our podcast has over 45 downloads this week, so thank you very much for that, guys. I really appreciate that. Don't drink that Kool-Aid that Matthew's stirring over there. We are growing and we're doing good things over like over here. But we're getting tight on time here, so I'm going to throw out this question. Do not take it as a disrespectful or anything to that effect. But I'm going to start with Chris here. Would you rather lose a recruit to Duke or to Memphis?
Honestly, man, I would say Memphis. Honestly, man, I'm not really that upset. Like I said, because he chose to stay home. I was not shocked that he decided to stay home. Nobody wants to lose to Duke, unless you're a Duke fan and you don't care. But nobody really wants to lose to Duke, especially if you're a Kentucky fan.
So,
regardless of,
you would rather lose to Memphis Tigers than the Duke Blue Devils?
Yeah, sure, why not?
See, I'm glad you said that. Let me go opposite way here, Chris. Let me lose to the many than the few. Picture this: we got embarrassed by Duke. Imagine though that Trey Jones went to Duke, Zion Williams went to Clemson, R.J. Barrett went to Kansas, and Cam Reddish would have went to North Carolina. We're fine. We can beat any of those teams. We can beat any of one of those players. But you put all 4 of them on one team, you got a nightmare. If Zion Williams would have went to Clemson and we played Clemson, we would beat them by 20. Yeah, he might have 30 points and a dunk on somebody, but we would have won. If we would have played Duke with just R.J. Barrett may have put up 50, but I guarantee I like our chances a lot more than they originally played. So always let all these players go everywhere else, because I would rather play the many than the few combined on one team.
Alrighty, guys. So that is what we have for tonight. Thank you for tuning into the Big Blue Breakdown. Matthew, any last words before we close it out?
No, man. I suppose every point in there, just a lot of our fan base. We went from an interesting spot to a disappointing spot. You know, there was one Saturday not too long ago that we were one win away from Bama and an SEC East championship and destroying Duke on national TV. And 1 week later, the fan base is lighting itself on fire. So there's a lot of thoughts going in here. I think as a fan base, we need to step back and enjoy that blue and white. Also, I made a plea to the fans that are on some of the pages I'm in. There is a chance. It might not be very good, but there is a chance that Benny Snell or Josh Allen or Jordan Jones or anyone else could sit out our bowl game. I beg you, if that happens, be okay with it. They've given you enough. They beat Florida.
Everyone's going to blame you for that.
I don't care. And that's fine. They've done their legwork.
You're right.
If
right.
Josh Allen, who's supposed to go number 10 in the NBA and the NFL draft, probably go NBA draft too, but if he was a top 10 player in the NFL draft, if he was to sit out a Citrus Bowl versus Northwestern, I don't have a problem with that. He's given you many other moments. He's gotten you to a point that without him, you'd be lucky to be in the Music City Bowl. Without Benny Snell, who had a big key game in beating Louisville 2 years ago, who even in an embarrassing loss to Louisville last year gave you 211 rushing yards, the man has given you enough. If he wants to take off this game, you better be okay with it.
Floor is yours, Chris Hill. Any closing words?
No, man. I just want to say thanks to everybody, and happy Thanksgiving. Eat lots of turkey, watch some football. Please pray to the football gods that the Bears do not destroy my Lions on Thanksgiving. I really hope that doesn't happen.
I hope
they're going to, but Mitch Trubisky's out. So.
Dude, it will ruin my day. But yeah, everybody enjoy football and turkey. Have a good
Actually,
time.
I hope aside from Louisville losing, I hope your whole weekend shot. I hope,
Come on, man.
I hope Ohio State beats Michigan. Hope Chicago beats the Lions. I hope the Red Wings lose to the Blues.
It's not going to happen. Oh, it's not going to happen. Ohio State is going to get demolished. They're going to get embarrassed.
I hope this time next year both the Harbaugh brothers are unemployed.
No, dear God, no! Don't put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby.
They will both be in Dallas Cowboy blue and white, leading them to a Super Bowl.
All right, man. No, dude, I hope somebody farts on your mashed potatoes tomorrow.
Joke.
There it is. There it is.
Alrighty, guys, and that is Big Blue Breakdown for tonight. Join us next Wednesday as we are live on the YouTubes and the Facebook and the Twitter page, and then the podcast goes up right after the show's over. So be sure to join us next week. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment to the channel. Follow the podcast, and be sure to share us with a couple friends. That would be fantastic. See y'all next week. Big Blue.